Okay, so this is 10.4b in intermediate algebra, equations quadratic in form. And let's just go ahead and look at example 3. They give us x plus the square root of x minus 6 equals 0. Alright, so notice, remember we want a x squared plus bx plus c equals 0. We want it in the quadratic equation form. So we have to figure out how to make that an x squared and that to be an x so that it looks like what they've got there. So what we're doing here, and this is a really important part, and this just came to mind as I'm looking at this. Whatever term is right here, that is going to be equal to your u. So for instance, remember on the last one, I had 4x to the fourth plus 7x squared equals 2, or we made it minus 2 equals 0. And we said u equals what? U equals that. The one before that, we had x plus 3 minus 2x plus 3 minus 8 equals 0. What did we make the u equal to? That. Okay, so whatever that second term is, whatever that x value is in that second one, that is what we're going to set u equal to. Alright, so because that's our second one, there's a 1 here and a 1 here, right? And our second one says that we have the square root of x. So u is going to equal the square root of x. Okay? So, let's go ahead and write this. So we're going to write this as u squared plus u minus 6 equals 0. Okay? So notice what happened. I just took the u here and I made it my first term here, my x, so I called it u squared because u equals the square root of x, and if I square that, I get that x. So that's why I squared this. Alright, and it doesn't really matter if you understand it, you just write it this way. You take your u value, make it equal to this, and then just write it as u squared plus u minus 6. Okay, so like I'm going to go ahead and look at the one we did prior to this and just show you on another one. This is example 2. So I said u equals that. Okay, now I just write the u squared, the u without the squared, like that, and I solve it. Okay, nothing that you really have to understand to do it. You just follow the instructions there, and hopefully as time goes on you'll start understanding how it works, but right now you don't have to. Okay, so that gives me that. I make this into two binomials, and I've got a u, a 3, and a 2, a positive and a negative. U equals negative 3, and it also equals positive 2. Okay, now what did I say? I said u equals the square root of x, right? I took that. So now what I'm going to do is I am going to replace u with the square root of x. So I'm going to have the square root of x equals negative 3, and the square root of x equals 2. So I have two answers there. Okay, now watch what happens here. Get a bunch of this junk out of the way, move that up. Now in order to find x, what do? It's in a radical, so to get rid of the radical, you square it. And you square it over here. So we have x equals 9 and x equals 4. And that's what I'm looking for an answer. Alright, let's look at some of the examples. We're going to skip the rest of this section and just go right to the homework. The rest of the examples there are a lot of story problems and stuff that we're not ready to hit yet. So let's go ahead and look at some of the examples here. So if you look at one like 16, where did that U come from? Get out of here. Alright, so 16. 6 times 2a plus 4, the quantity squared, equals 2a plus 4 plus 2. Let's go ahead and put it in quadratic form. I'm not going to do anything except get everything on the one side. Once you do that, you look at the middle term and you make that your u. Okay, then we rewrite it. First term, we're going to write it as, oh, I guess I don't have to put that little parenthesis there, as u squared minus u minus 2 equals 0. Solve for u. Once you solve for u, you're just going to end up then taking u. So let's say you get 4 for u. You're going to put a 4 there and solve for a. But you're going to get two numbers. So let's say you get positive 4 and negative 2. So you're going to put a positive 4 in here and solve for a, and then you're going to put a negative 2 in here and solve for a. And then those will be your two answers you're looking for. All right, let's look at a couple more of these. And I'm not giving you the answers. I'm just kind of giving you an idea of what's going on here. Let's look at 27. X minus 2 square root of x minus 8 equals 0. You're going to set u equal to this middle one, and then you're going to write it as u squared minus 2u minus 8 equals 0. And you're going to solve it for u. So u and 4 and 2 and negative and positive, and u is going to be equal to 4 and negative 2. So now you're going to take the 4 and plug it in there. So 4 equals square root of x. You're going to put negative 2 in there. So negative 2 equals the square root of x. Then to get rid of the radical, you square both sides. And x equals 16. Square both sides. And x equals 4. Okay? And that's pretty much it. But the key thing when you're dealing with radicals, and I'll say this, make sure you put these numbers in the original equation and make sure it checks. Okay, so let's see, because we do the square root stuff, sometimes things go crazy. So let's put a 16 in for x. So 16 minus 2 times 4 minus 8 equals 0. 16 minus 8 equals 0. Okay, that one works. All right, let's do the same thing with 4. 4 minus 2 times the square root of 4 minus 8 equals 0. 4 minus 2 times 2 minus 8 equals 0. 4 minus 4 minus 8 equals 0. 4 minus 4 is 0, so negative 8 equals 0. That does not check, so 4 is not an answer that actually works. So let's look at some that are even weirder. Let's look at number 44. Okay? You can write this as, make that our u. Okay? And then you can factor out a 2 and a u, and you're left with u plus 5, and then you can solve it from there. Okay, so don't get caught up with what kind of weird things are going on. I don't think I'm assigning any like that, but anyway, they're not as scary as what they appear. Again, if you looked at something like number 31, okay, u equals what? The middle term. And then we write it as 2u squared plus 9u minus 5 equals 0. And you solve it from there using quadratic formula. And then whenever you get a u value, you plug it in right there, and you square both sides, and you find out what your x is. Okay? So that's it for 10.4.